Hello everyone, welcome. You're watching Defence Pulse with me, Shivan Chandna. This is your 360-degree insight into the future of warfare and strategic technologies shaping battlefield operations. Let's start by looking at the latest developments. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh approves the transfer of DRDO missile technology to Indian firms, paving way for the private sector manufacturing of missiles. The move covers surface-to-air systems, air-to-air missiles, anti-armor and battlefield strike weapons. However, strategic and foreign partner programs remain outside the ambit. Sergio Gore visited the Tata Lockheed Martin facility in Hyderabad. The US envoy highlights India's expanding role in global C-130J Super Hercules production network and India's growing aerospace manufacturing footprint. Ukraine unveils the world's first military drone parade, replacing traditional marching soldiers. The parade featured tightly packed formations of uncrewed ground vehicles, fixed-wing interceptor drones in the sky, and an array of uncrewed surface vessels. All right, we're starting off with a news alert coming in. An American Boeing C-17A Globemaster III military transport aircraft has landed in Moscow. And this is according to online air traffic monitoring systems. According to available data, the aircraft, which departed from Andrews Air Force Base near Washington, made a stop in Riga before arriving in Moscow. According to Russian news agency TASS, a source within EU air traffic control authorities told the agency that the plane, having originally flown from Andrews Air Force Base to Latvia, had indeed continued its journey towards the Russian border. Now, the source confirmed that the aircraft proceeded towards Russia's border after its stop in Riga. Additionally, the source also noted that prior to this, the plane had visited Charleston Airport. The Kremlin said that it had no information on the US military transport airplane that landed in Moscow's airport earlier in the day. Viewers, today on Defence Pulse, the world is running short of missile interceptors. That's what we're focusing on. Wars in West Asia and Ukraine, they are burning through air defense stocks at a frightening pace. Ukraine is pleading for more Patriots, while the US is rushing to rebuild its own depleted inventory. Into this widening gap comes India's Akash, a battle-tested air defense system now attracting fresh international attention after Operation Sindoor. More in this next report.
Modern wars are turning the sky into a battlefield of saturation. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, fighter aircraft, drones arriving in swarms. And the demand for one weapon is exploding: interceptors. The Patriot system has become one of the world's most sought-after air defense weapons, but years of fighting have exposed a brutal problem. There are not enough of them. According to reports, around 65% of US Patriot interceptor stock had been used between February and July during the Iran conflict, leaving fewer than 850 interceptors. Production is now being accelerated. Ukraine is adding to the pressure. Kyiv continues to plead for more Patriots to defend its cities against Russian ballistic missiles. President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for hundreds of additional interceptors.
На жаль, з балістикою найскладніше зараз.
Unfortunately, ballistic missiles are the most difficult challenge right now. While about 90% of the cruise missiles in this attack were intercepted, the situation with ballistic missiles is significantly worse. We need missiles for Patriots, and only our partners can provide them. At all levels, we convey to them both what we need and the fact that we know our partners are capable of meeting this need.
That is where Akash enters the picture. India's indigenous surface-to-air missile system is designed to detect and engage incoming aerial threats through a combination of radar, command systems, launchers and interceptor missiles. The basic idea is simple. Find the threat, track it, calculate its path, launch Akash and destroy it before it reaches the target. With a 25-kilometer operational range, it can target fighter aircrafts, helicopters and drones. Akash demonstrated its capabilities during Operation Sindoor. That combat experience matters. So does the price. India has long positioned Akash as a lower-cost alternative for countries that cannot build or afford huge stocks of premium interceptors. The government approved its export in 2020 after interest from several friendly countries. India has exported Akash to Armenia, Tajikistan and Turkmenistan. Brazil, Egypt and the Philippines are among the other potential buyers. Several African and South American nations have also shown interest. But the battlefield is changing again. Drones are becoming cheaper, smaller and more numerous. Using a multi-million-dollar interceptor against a low-cost drone is a losing equation. The future therefore belongs to layered air defense, combining missiles, guns, electronic warfare and cheaper counter-drone weapons. That is Akash's opportunity. With the changing threat perceptions and the emergence of drone swarms, nations need an affordable shield against the new age of mass aerial attacks. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And to discuss this further with me, we're now being joined by Padma Shri awardee Dr. Prahlad Ramarao, former distinguished scientist, Chief Controller, Missiles and Strategic Systems, DRDO. He's the man known as the father of the Akash missile, the indigenous system that was extensively and successfully deployed during Operation Sindoor. Dr. Ramarao, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on Defense Pulse. What's the next phase of interception architecture going to look like from now? Over to you, sir.
Yeah. We're watching now what is happening in Iran, in Middle East, and also in Ukraine, also including Israel. We are seeing these air defense is becoming a big challenge. Air defense became a big challenge because each country had some air defense. Israel had its own air defense, but it is not exactly meeting the requirements of the current war because they're designed for different requirements. And Iran did not have much of its own air defense, so it has to depend on either it has to get from some other country or it has to borrow from Russia. Then Ukraine, as you know, it is waiting for Patriots to come. Now, the challenge is each air defense missiles are actually fine-tuned, including C4I2SR, that is command, control, communication, computers, intelligence, information, surveillance, reconnaissance. All should be seen together. And any air defense system has to be designed like an orchestra, each has to play its perfect tune. Any wrong tune, you will miss it. So it has to be perfectly made. Fortunately, we had the right tones to make a air defense missile system for a medium range. There, we consider the performance. It should hit the right target at the lowest cost, fastest time, and a very high probability. The logistics and ease of operation. Fortunately, we had continuously interacted with Army and Air Force to fine-tune the logistics, the ease of operation, and the cost per round. Now we had the control of the cost per round because it's almost 100% indigenous, and availability in numbers. Availability where required because its logistics is the lowest. You can easily transport by air, by road, by train, and go. So therefore, we were able to meet the requirements of the Army and Air Force, and I'm happy they expressed their satisfaction. Now, for future, now no more drones are coming. People have started comparing the cost of a drone versus cost of a missile. Definitely, missile cost is more because it is designed for a longer range. Unless you go for a short range missile, it is drone. Akash, for example, you can target up to targets coming from 100, 200 kilometers and kill it before 40 kilometers. Whereas the drones and all may be shorter range, lower height, lower range, and therefore you can have a missile, short range missile, or as you are aware, the laser guided shots, laser beam weapon. Tomorrow it may be microwave beam weapon. For short range and quick reaction, which is almost zero time, the laser weapons and microwave weapons will be the right air defense.
So
longer range, you come to...
Yeah, I'm just coming in there, sir. So are you saying directed energy weapons will be integrated into the air defense architecture itself, even with the likes of the Akash? Over to you, sir.
Exactly. Because multi-layer defense, a laser weapon will be a part of the first layer. Then you may have missiles for a heavier drones, bigger drones. Then comes medium range Akash. Then, of course, long range air defense systems will take cover, which will go to 200, 300 kilometers. So this is how the layer defense will come. As our Honorable Prime Minister told, that we will have a layered air defense. Only thing is, we have to make it fine-tuned, finely engineered, and all science incorporated in it, because a lot of science, a lot of technology, a lot of logistics, a lot of cost structuring, and also operational freedom. For example, these missiles are kept on round the clock 24 hours. And there's nobody to watch and give a decision. The commander has hardly any role. Therefore, they are so designed with software that is, if there is a weapon coming across the enemy from the enemy territory, any time, any altitude, any range, any direction, the radar will sense immediately. It will alert the missile, alert the air defense system, and within seconds, the missile will take off.
Sir, let me come in there, and you mentioned this briefly. I'll now request you to elaborate on that. The shortage of interceptor missiles, and that's something that we're seeing different battlefields in different parts of the world. That's a reality. Now, militaries across the world, of course, I'm talking about India here as well, they draw inferences and learnings from other active war zones. What has India's learning been, in your appreciation, from what US is facing at this point in West Asia, or what Ukraine is facing against Russia?
When you say India, I am saying it is integrating Army, Air Force users, the DRDO, who have done the design, radar design, control system design, C4A design, and of course the industries. Some 300, 400 industries have contributed for the delivery of the weapons, continue to contribute. So these is our experience is, if you make a cost-effective, performance sector effective, logistics effective, and a totally automatic air defense system, it will be a big, not only protecting the country, but it will also be a big demand for the global requirements. This is our understanding by all of us put together.
And sir, how should India's air defenses evolve further now? We saw what happened during May last year, but to tackle asymmetric war tactics, which adversarial forces will also take learnings from, how should India be tackling this going forward, apart from integrating more?
Yeah, You are a very interesting question. Now, as you are aware, many are aware, Akash, there are several versions coming up.
Yeah.
Depending on war experience, the field experience, the user experience, we have made Akash 3 versions are coming up so that they will meet the 3 customized requirements of our user. I'm sure it will be for any global user. This is number one. Number two, we're integrating the shorter range like a laser weapon and a short range missile with the Akash so that multi-layer will take place. And also air defense, we have longer range air defense, India, made in India air defense system for long range aircraft, also ballistic missiles, it is designed. So if you have all of them put together, like somebody said, the Sudarshan Chakra, it will protect a country fully at the most cost effective way and with the minimum
Understood.
sort of minimum effort from the industry side, from the R&D side, we
Understood.
will be delivering, and it will be a big protection for the country, and
Understood.
also it matches all concepts of Atmanirbharata and Surachit Bharat.
Sir, pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for always making time. And there will be more to discuss clearly. Would look forward to speaking with you on Defense Pulse again.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
For decades, India was known as one of the world's biggest buyers of weapons. But could the next decade turn India into one of the world's major builders of weapons? The foundations are already being laid. India's defense production touched a record 1.78 lakh crore rupees in 2025-26, compared with roughly 40,000 crore rupees around in 2014. Defense exports have crossed 38,000 crore rupees, with the Indian military equipment now reaching more than 80 countries. But a true defense industrial complex means much more than assembling weapons at home. It requires an interconnected ecosystem where the armed forces, the government, defense PSUs, and private manufacturers, they work together continuously, developing the next generation of military technology. And that ecosystem is beginning to emerge in India now. Nearly 16,000 MSMEs are contributing to India's defense manufacturing ecosystem. The private industry currently contributes roughly a quarter of India's defense production, but the Indian government and its ambition is to eventually push that towards 50%. The early 2030s could perhaps mark the point when India possesses a genuinely mature defense industrial complex, one capable of supplying India's armed forces and competing for major military contracts around the world. The transformation has already begun. And to discuss this further with me, I'm now being joined by Puneet Kaura, CEO and MD of Samtel Avionics. Puneet, always a pleasure speaking with you, starting with India's own defense industrial complex. It's ambitious, but do you feel the increasing role of the private sector in India, especially in the defense ecosystem, will help India get there at the earliest, and by when? Over to you.
Nice to be on the show, Shivan. I think that India's trajectory is moving on a very fast track. I mean, if you look at what's going on in the defense sector ever since, especially last 1.5 years post Operation Sindoor, the kind of opportunities for the sector has come out. It's very clear that we are on a very fast trajectory to become a very significant global player and have our own defense, complex, as you call it. We have, I think, a lot going on. We need still a lot of focus on developing products in the country. I think that is one area which still needs, I think, more focus in terms of really not just manufacturing in India, but developing in India, and actually the innovation part, the R&D part of it. That still can be improved quite significantly, but still a lot is happening and more to come in the coming months and years.
Puneet, I understand that you're dwelling a lot into space technology as well. What's the expansion strategy from your perspective, and also overall from the industrial perspective of the defense manufacturing sector? Is space the next domain where the defense industry in India is going to be heading?
I think there are not a lot of players who are in the space sector from defense, but if you look at the global scenario, a lot of defense companies are into space as well. So we have chosen that path already, and we feel that space is a great area to be in. We have seen recently how our private sector startups have actually reached the space and what is going on in terms of their achievements. We also saw recently PMO called upon a few of our young startup CEOs to have an interaction with them like just a few days back. That basically shows how the top leadership is looking at developing this sector. And I feel that globally, ever since the IPO of SpaceX, the excitement is a lot. But coming to specifically to your question, we are looking at multiple different areas in the space domain. We are looking at developing satellites which have a specific need. We are looking at some acquisitions of technologies from global markets, which would basically be very important for our Indian consumption to bring it to our country. Basically, idea is to create a sovereign network for the Indian customer, and I think that is one part of the story. And we are also, another aspect is we're looking at debris space cleaning as a next project. So that is another area which we are concentrating on. Space is getting very crowded, needs to be cleaned up. That's another area which will become very big, and I think that's another area of focus for us.
Puneet, but when we focus on the defense domain, in kinetic terms and in surveillance terms, information terms, talk to us about India's private sector developments in satellites and, of course, talk of the town last several years now, UAVs.
So satellites, there is a lot happening, but more and more is kind of moving towards startups and private sector players. But it's still early days where we have different companies which are getting funded, and the projects are looking very interesting. I think that ISRO obviously is leading the pack, but it's not a private sector player itself. But the recent developments where we are saying that even the launch pads of our satellites would be manufactured by private sector, I think those are very early indications how the government is looking at basically bringing private players into this area. As far as drones is concerned, that's a very active space. We have a lot going on in terms of participation of private players in this country, and for many, many years now. It's a very, fast evolving. There's a lot of spending that's going to happen. I think we're talking upward of $5-6 billion to be spent, or maybe more than that, over the next 18 months. So a lot of activity in terms of the drone space, multiple players, different types of categories. Of course, we are definitely picking our own niche space in the drones domain, which is looking very exciting. So yeah, both the sectors, satellite and drones, is going to be a very active space to be looking at in the next 18 to 24 months.
Puneet, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for making time, and definitely would be speaking with you again.
Thank you, Shivan. Thank you so much.
All right, viewers, that is a wrap on this edition of Defense Pulse. Join me again tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. IST.